I'm going to be honest with you. I hate these bears, this zoo, whatever you call it. It's the smell. I feel saturated by it. I can taste the stink, and every time I do, I fear that I have somehow been infected. I must get BTC to pump. I must get free.
I must get BTC to pump. I must be free. I hate the smell of these bears. I'm sure you guys also hate the smell of these bloody bears. Okay, so where are we on the markets? You've got Bitcoin at 38,709. You can see that Bitcoin's broken some critical levels, and there are one or two more critical levels that it needs to go. And if we break those levels, like for example, if we break this level over here, which is I think around 37,000. What am I using? I'm using the wrong tool here. Let me get that level over here. So if we break 37,500, and then we break again, we break 34,000, then we could be going down. So today I'm going to look at why we should expect volatility this week. And we should expect volatility this week because it is one of the biggest weeks that we've seen in crypto this year. And it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So we're going to look at why we should expect volatility and then how you should be playing this. And stay tuned till the end because I've got some great tips for you at the end to tell you guys how to manage it. So let's do this. It's going to be a big show. Let's have some Yo, I swear to you, I think there are people that watch this show just for that song, and then they just log off after that song. I swear to you, that's what happens. People log on just for a song. Guys, welcome back. I'm Crypto Man Ran. I'm here every day, bull market or bear market, keeping you guys alive during this time. And today, we're going to talk about how to tame the bear. We're going to talk about how to tame the bear because the market isn't looking good. We've broken through some technical levels, but if you look underneath the hood and you look underneath what everybody else is looking at, maybe this is about the dip opportunity. Not for sure. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at the data, and whatever the data tells us, then we'll decide whether this is a buy the dip opportunity or not a buy the dip opportunity. And again, I think it's in times like this when you need to be the most focused, because this is where you need to be making the best moves. This is where you need to become an expert. This is where you need to create a buy list, because if you don't know what you're buying, then you got no chance. You got to be prepared. And this is what the show is going to do. It's going to prepare you for a high volatility week so that when we come out of this high volatility week, we're ready and we're going to capitalize on everything that happened, because this is the time where you should be buying. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Multiple streams every single day. Also subscribe to our Crypto Banter Shorts channel, which is where we're going to drop, there's 3 videos being dropped on Shorts just after the show. 3 big videos being dropped, including one about $1 billion buy order that's going to come into the market this week. We've got some information about another $1 billion that's going to be coming into the market this week. So make sure that you subscribe to Crypto Banter. And I'm always scared to do this online, but let's do it. The reason I'm scared to do it online, because if you press U and you've been to YouPorn, then when you press, it just says YouPorn. So you got to be careful. You got to be seriously careful. So go to Crypto Shorts. Let's just see that it does that. So Crypto Shorts. There will be 4 or 5 videos dropping on Crypto Shorts today. So make sure that you subscribe. They're going to drop straight after the show. One of them is going to be about $1 billion coming into crypto. Anyway, let's talk about this show. So on this show today, we're going to talk about why this is such a big week for crypto. We're going to talk about Elon buying Twitter. We're going to talk about Stargate. We're going to talk about Luna. We're going to talk about a Bitcoin ETF and Bitcoin ETF approvals. Huge show. Let's do it. All right, this is where we are. as I said, broken some key levels. And the key levels that we're looking for now is we really want Bitcoin not to print the lower low. We really want Bitcoin not to print the lower low. So we were looking at, I guess this is one key level that we're looking at here, which is this level over here. Here we go. So it's this level over here that we're looking at. We've got to make sure that we stay above 37,135. And then if we're really going to break down, we should try and stay above the 35,000 to 34,200 level, because that would print a lower low. But the truth is that our fate here is actually not in our hands. So you can decide what you want and you can be whatever you want. The fate is not in our hands. And the reason why the fate is not in our hands is because Bitcoin has developed this correlation, the highest correlation that we've seen to the NASDAQ. So you can see that Bitcoin's developed a massive correlation to the NASDAQ. Bitcoin's 30-day correlation to tech stocks is the highest that it's been since July 2020, which means that effectively we are in the hands of the NASDAQ. And that's the NASDAQ chart. Now, the NASDAQ futures today were down quite a bit. They were down about 100 points. And they jumped on the news that that Elon's bid for Twitter may actually need to be accepted. And we'll talk about why I think there's been this about turn all of a sudden amongst the Twitter board, because you'll remember that the Twitter board didn't want to accept Elon's offer for a whole lot of different reasons. Some of those reasons are that they knew that they would probably lose their jobs if they did accept Elon's offer. Because he's publicly come out and he said, he doesn't have faith in the board of Twitter to be able to transform the companies. So why all of a sudden has there been an about turn? We'll talk about that and what it's done for the crypto markets, because it has had some impact on the crypto markets. But anyway, right now we're at the hands of the NASDAQ. So for as long as the NASDAQ is going down, we can expect crypto to be coming down. Where is the NASDAQ? Because this is quite important. So the NASDAQ right now is 21.42% below its high. So that's one of the critical points. But if you look at where it is, if you take the low was 12,949, which means that we are 3 or 4% of going below that low. And if we go below that low, then for the first time in a long time, we would have printed a significant lower low on the NASDAQ, So this is something to be watching, because our fate is actually in the hands of the US stock market. Where is this US stock market, and why is this US stock market panicking? Why is everybody panicked about the US stock market? And we are starting to feel like there is panic in the markets, specifically in the US stock market. This week, we have the biggest earnings week that we're seeing this quarter. We've got all the FANG stocks reporting this week. We've got Coca-Cola reporting. We've got Microsoft reporting. We've got Alphabet reporting. You've got Visa. You've got Twitter reporting results. And maybe there's a clue in the Twitter results as to why they are finally accepting the offer. You've got Apple coming out with results this week. So those results could have a massive impact on which way the market goes. If we get a flurry of bad results, then the NASDAQ could go down. If we get a flurry of good results, that could take the NASDAQ up. And whichever way the NASDAQ goes, that's the way that crypto is going to go, like it or not. But the sentiment in the stock markets right now is bearish. You're seeing a whole lot of bearish signs. You're seeing a poll from Barron's which says that in the entire survey's history, they've got the second lowest percentage of bulls in the market. So it basically means the bulls are dead. In the stock market, the bulls are dead. And everyone is now realizing or coming to terms with the fact that we're moving into tightening territory, so to speak. You've got equity fund outflows over the past 2 weeks being extremely severe. In fact, the last time that we had equity fund outflows like this were in 2020, when we had a black swan event, which was the COVID black swan event. So people are starting to take their money out of the stock market right now. That's another thing that's happening. So you're seeing the sentiment is starting to become bullish. Why is it starting to become bullish? Because right now, there are just 16.86% of NASDAQ stocks which are sitting above their 200-day moving averages. The rest, the other 85% or 83.14% are sitting below their 200-day moving average. And there is one of the clues. So the clue here says that maybe the market has moved already. Maybe the fact that people are withdrawing their money is the last part of the bear market. This is where people have already realized, and the information has been out in the market, and only now people are starting to get to, should we call it peak panic, or peak panic, or as they said in that thing, there are no more bulls left all of a sudden. And you can see here that the put call ratio in equities is the highest that it's been in the last 6 months. And what does that mean? It means that if you think about the number of a put is a bearish instrument. It allows people to sell something at a certain point in time. Now, what is a put? A put is effectively a negative sentiment indicator. It allows someone to sell something. When do you want to sell something? When you are negative about its price. And the put call index or ratio is 0.96, which is the highest that it's been in a long time. What does that mean? It means that it's filtering into crypto. And we've got an options closeout this weekend or this Friday. Remember that the last Friday of the month is usually the biggest put call closeout, or the biggest options closeout. We have one this month. The point of max pain for Bitcoin is $41,000. $41,000 is the point of max pain. And the put call ratio is 0.64, which means that there are more puts there are more puts, there are less puts to calls in this one. So you look at Ethereum, the point of max pain is $3,000. Now let's just compare that to where they're trading. Bitcoin is trading at 39,331. So Bitcoin trading at 39,331. The point of max pain is 41,000. So we could expect some price movement to there. Ethereum is trading at 2,887, and the point of max pain, I think we said, is $3,000. So it feels like everyone is starting to become bearish. The put call ratio, there's more puts than calls on Ethereum being sold. CNBC is also now, you're starting to get those crazy forecasts from CNBC where they tell us that, if Bitcoin breaks this, Bitcoin could go all the way down to 20,000. When you hear that, for me, that's a sign to actually start buying. So
just hit one of our fundamental type guests, a good one. Mike Wilson say 3,800 was where he thought it was headed. The S&P. I don't know if you saw that. So that is perfectly in sync with what you just said. As I guess you're saying kind of a worst case scenario. Would you say Bitcoin violated your 40,000 support on a closing basis? It's at 38.8 right now. It got as low as 38.5. Do you expect that to breach 30,000, like you said, maybe to even 27, 28,000? Is that possible?
It seems very possible with a break of that 40,000. So we have 1 week below. That would be confirmed this Friday and another week close. It's already below the short-term support that we were watching. So is Ether, for what it's worth. And if we do see these breakdowns, like you said, the bottom kind of drops out, unfortunately, in terms of where next support levels are. For us, the 30,000 level, I think a lot of folks will focus on that.
You see.
And yet for us, the Fibonacci retracements that we track target to about 27,200 for Bitcoin, if indeed we see this breakdown confirmed. So again, we want to be really respectful of any breakdowns, irrespective of the asset class.
So you see, they're starting to talk about the breakdown in the asset class, and if Bitcoin breaks this level, it could go to 30,000, it could go under 30,000. I know this from being around, that every time that happens, that's usually the turning point, and that's where the recovery starts. So remember, when everybody else is negative, when the sentiment is bearish, that's when you should be making your moves. That is when you should be making your moves. What's everybody nervous about? Everybody's nervous about the Fed. The Fed wants you to, the Fed has a mandate. The mandate of the Fed is to manage inflation, and in this case, that means keeping the markets down. The Fed needs to keep the markets down, because if the markets are kept down, that would mean that people stop spending. People are spending these market profits that they're making. And for as long as they're spending, they're driving out prices. So if you look at this article that came out here, it says, if stocks don't fall, the Fed needs to force them to fall. That's the whole mandate of what's going on right now. The Fed needs to get the market down. So how's it going to get the market down? Well, the first thing that the Fed's going to do, with a 97.6% chance, is they're going to increase interest rates by 0.5% at the FOMC meeting, which is happening next week. And until we get to that FOMC meeting next week, we can expect volatility. When we get to the FOMC meeting next week. The Fed increases interest rates by 0.5%. More importantly, they're going to come out with guidance afterwards. They're going to come out with a speech afterwards, which is going to tell us about their movements. And remember that a 0.5% interest rate increase is a huge increase in interest rates. The last time that the Fed did this was around the 2000s. It was under Alan Greenspan. And I think they only did one of those, then they waited 3 or 4 months, and I think they maybe did one more of those before they had to start then reducing or increasing the economy again, or putting more money into the economy again. So this is quite a big move by the Fed. And so I think the Fed's going to front load, like Jerome Powell said in his last week. He said the Fed's going to front load what they have to do to shock the markets. Because remember, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the markets down. That's what they're trying to keep. So as of last week, as of Friday's close, the market had priced in 14 rate hikes for the entire cycle. Okay, 14 rate hikes. Let's look at what the expectations were. So what the reality is that the market thinks that the Fed is going to be able to price in, the majority of the market feel like the Fed is going to price in around less than 6. So less than 6 rate hikes at the end of the cycle. So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a disconnect. The Fed's going to come out posturing very strongly to try and talk the market down, because low markets mean low inflation, low inflation. And then the Fed, when the markets are down, they're going to get inflation under control. Now, here is where it gets super interesting. Remember that inflation is cumulative. So if you take a low base, let's say you take a base of 100, and you increase inflation, you say the inflation is 5%, your inflation is 105. Okay, now that's your new starting point. So your new starting point is 105. Now, when you add 5%, you got to add 5% to 105. Remember, inflation is cumulative. This is where I think it might get seriously interesting. Let's look at the inflation numbers. So let's have a look here. Let's look at the inflation numbers. So those are the inflation numbers. This is the chart of inflation. And you can see that in 2021, in March 2021, the inflation rate was 2.6%. In April 2021, the inflation rate was 4.2%. So April is arguably when inflation really jumped the most. So the biggest jump in inflation was in April. Now, in May, we're going to get the CPI numbers, which are going to compare April 2022 to April 2021. But remember that the base for April 2021 is a high base, because by that time, inflation was already at 4.2%. So the April on April numbers were the first numbers where we're comparing a period of high inflation with another period of high inflation. If you look at March, the starting point for March was 2.6% last year, and then we added March's inflation from this year. But now the base is 4.2%. And so what I think is going to happen is, I think Jerome Powell is going to increase interest rates by 0.5 basis points. And then I think they're going to give us the inflation numbers for April. And for the first time, I think we may actually see a slight reduction in inflation. So I think we may get 8.5 or something very close to 8.5, maybe 8.3, maybe 8.2. And the market's going to turn around and say, wow, look, what the Fed's doing is actually working. What the market is going to ignore is the fact that the base was much higher, because the market's forgetful like that. And so what they're going to go is they're going to say, wow, the Fed's increased interest rates by 0.5 basis points, and the Fed's already getting this thing under control because we've now seen the worst of inflation. When the reality is that we actually haven't seen the worst of inflation, but we're just comparing it to a period where the inflation was much higher. And so that's what I think, this is where I think it gets super interesting. Fed comes out, scares the market, increases interest rates by 0.5 basis points, by 0.5%, 50 basis points. Powell comes out and says, we're going to see the effect that this is going to have. 2 weeks later, we read the inflation numbers. Oh my goodness, inflation isn't increasing as much. Maybe even inflation gets slightly reduced because we're comparing it to a very high number from last year. And the media narrative is, hold on a second, this is actually starting to work, and the markets start to feel more relaxed. That is how I see this whole thing playing out. What do you think? Mathematically, it makes sense. Mathematically, it makes sense. That's the sneaky. That's what's going to happen. You'll see. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I read this, and I think the sentiment here is unbelievable. So this is the first real downturn where we've had real adoption of crypto, real adoption of ETH, real adoption of crypto, real adoption of Bitcoin as a store of value. So if we do get I don't think we'll get a sub 20. I think that's impossible. But I mean, if we do get a opportunity to buy Bitcoin cheap, it really could be one of the last times that we can buy crypto cheap, because we're becoming so mainstream that this might be one of the last times that we can buy crypto cheap if the price comes down. So to me, that's what it is. And if you want to see how big that opportunity is, so here is a tweet, and it shows the size of certain markets. So real estate is a $326 trillion market. Bonds, $124 trillion market. Equities, $109 trillion market. Gold, $12 trillion. The whole of crypto is, I wouldn't say it's $2 trillion, because remember, it doesn't take into account Coinbase and whatever else, but all the digital assets are a $2 trillion market. That is the size of the opportunity. So when you look at the downside risk, okay, cool, there is downside risk. But when you look at the upside potential, then this is how big the opportunity is. So I always say in these situations, what you got to do is you got to manage the downside and then let the upside take care of itself. That's the way I see these things. And right now, I think if you're managing your downside, this is probably a good time to keep buying. And I'll show you what I'm buying just in a couple of seconds. So that's the inflation story. What else? Let's talk about this potential buyer that's coming into the market. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but there are Australian ETF, Bitcoin ETFs. There's one that's set to open in the next 2 days. So there's a Australian ETF coming onto the market. I think it's one of two that's been approved. There's been two approved, right? Two ETFs approved, no?
In Australia.
Yeah. I think it's two. Anyway, one of them starts trading this week. This could bring in over $1 billion. And the reason why I say this could bring in $1 billion is if you look at the first ETF, which was launched in Canada. Now, I mean, I think Australia's got a bigger economy than Canada. I'm not sure. It crossed in less than 1 month. It got $1 billion worth of assets. So I got the information from Glassnode, and you can see how quickly it accumulated. So if you take the first month, let's take the first month. So we'll take February 20th, we'll go all the way to March 20th. A month after it started, it had 14,000 Bitcoin. But if you look at what happened by May, so 2 months after it started, by that time it had 20,000 Bitcoin. That would have probably been around $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Today, that ETF holds 30,000 Bitcoin. So call it $1 billion with the price going down. So what this means is that if the Australian ETF has any kind of success, it could bring another $1 billion into Bitcoin. Now, you remember that when DogeCoin started to buy, remember the effect that the $100 million purchases were having? Well, let's see what happens when an Australian ETF is approved, and that starts bringing money. I think it also now really, really shines the spotlight on the United States. Gary Gensler, and people must be watching this, and they must be going, what the hell is going on in the United States? You got an ETF approved in Singapore, you got an ETF approved in Canada, you got an ETF approved in many other countries, in Australia now, 2 ETFs, and the US still hasn't approved an ETF. Now remember, this is an election year. In November, I think there are elections in the States. Do you think that in an election year, the US wants, or the Democrats want to upset the market by not approving an ETF? So I think there'll be a lot of pressure to get that ETF approved sometime before November. And at the same time, you got GBTC. So you got, a Grayscale, which is up their up the ante and starting to put a lot of pressure now on the SEC to approve this ETF. And we know that they had a breakthrough because the last Bitcoin futures ETF, which was approved under the new rules, or the rule that the same rule that Grayscale applied for, and under the same rule. So there's a lot of pressure on the SEC now to approve the ETF, and they're not going to be able to run anymore, especially now in an election year. All right, what else? Let's talk about Twitter for a little bit. So Twitter mysteriously and miraculously decided that they want to re-examine Elon Musk's bid. That's one day after he came out and he said that he secured the funding. he secured $46.5 billion. And now they came out and they said, oh, well, we're re-examining your bid. And as that happened, obviously, the Doge community thought, hooray, it's actually Doge that's buying Twitter, and you can see what they've done. I think this is a net positive, though, for Doge, because if you've got the world's most powerful man who's talking about Doge buying social media platforms, I think that is a net positive for Doge. So don't write off Dogecoin. But maybe the reason why they're reconsidering the offer miraculously is because they're releasing results on Thursday. Now, if you were the Twitter board, you were a bunch of clowns who hasn't been able to I can't say that they'll sue me for defamation. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If this video gets a strike, it's because of the Twitter board. So imagine that you're sitting on the Twitter board and you've just declined Elon Musk's offer, okay? And then you release your results. And your results are a pile of horseshit. So you release results, your user numbers are shit, the number of bots on your platform is shit, your advertising numbers are shit. How do you then justify not taking Elon Musk's offer? And that's what I think is happening here. I think that the Twitter board have got sight of the results. They must know what's coming out because they've been there, right? They've obviously got this pack which has been delivered from the auditors to be presented this week, and also to have a post-earnings call with all the analysts. Now, how do you get onto it and say, look, we presented you with horseshit results. Here are the horseshit results. Terrible, disgusting. And by the way, we're not selling to Elon. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly with shareholders. So I think why they've miraculously had this about turn is because A, Elon's now brought in the money, but B, they know, listen, it's over. It's like being in a UFC fight and the guy's got you by the neck and then you just tap out. Okay, you just accept the offer. I think that's what's happening. They know it's like playing chess. And you can see that 2 moves from now you're going to be checkmated. So what do? You just knock your king over and you say, you know what? This is there's no way I can play these moves because I'm going to release my numbers on Thursday. The numbers are going to be so shit. Then how are we going to explain to shareholders that we never took Elon Musk's offer? So I think that's what's happening here. They did, but I don't think they thought, hold on, we're reporting this Thursday, and maybe they thought Elon would go away, and he's not going away. Maybe they thought Elon would go. He's not going away. So that's why I think what I think is going. I love this. They are seriously considering Elon Musk's offer, but they were not considering it the other day. Like a few days ago, they gave him a poison pill. Try to kill him with a poison pill. Can't kill Elon with a poison pill. Not going to work. Also, we had news today that another country has adopted Bitcoin. Yeah, another country has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. In case you missed the news, this time it is the Central African Republic. I don't blame you if you missed the news. So for people who don't know where Central African Republic is.
It's in the name.
Okay, surprise. Okay, this is where it gets super interesting. Central African Republic is slap bang in the center of Africa. Okay. Now, is this big news? No. The reason why it's not big news is because if you Google Central African Republic, what you realize is they have 5 million people. Okay, so there are 5 million people in Central African Republic. The average GDP per capita per year, $476. So that means that per month, $40 is the GDP per person per month in Central African Republic. So it's really one of those really small African countries that is really, really poor and really, really struggling. And they've adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. We can't shake it off because it's nice to have another country adopting legal tender. And it does have huge implications in terms of IMF settlements, in terms of settlements between countries. Because if I'm a country and I don't have any sanctions against me and I'm in good standing with the UN and the IMF, and I adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, then you have to settle my debts in legal tender. So you can see that. What you can also see, and for me the most interesting part is that this shows how much people trust crypto. Okay, so this is a chart that shows how much people in each country trust crypto. What I think it actually shows, though, is how much experience people have got in distrusting their governments. So what you'll see is that the people that trust countries that trust crypto the most are actually the countries that have got experience in distrusting their governments the most. So India track record of distrusting their government financially. Brazil, third world country, full of corruption, distrust their government. Mexico, enough said. Russia, I mean, who trusts the Russian government? Spain, I think they've been insolvent more times than, I don't know. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Look here. So you have in the United States, I would have expected the United States should be at the bottom because, it's a democratic country that's supposed to trust the government. But it's not. It's like in the top 5. So this just shows that the more people distrust their country, the more they will trust crypto and the higher probability that they may at some point go to Bitcoin. And I think that that's what happened in the Central African Republic. I think people have lost, I don't know what their currency was before, but I don't even know if they had their own currency. I'm sure they did because all African countries have their own currency. Most of them do. And most of them have blown it up at some point or another. So you can see that, I mean, it is adoption, but it's just probably, I think, not adoption that you want to get too excited about. That's what I think. Okay, so what do you do now? In this market, with all this uncertainty, you've got a week of uncertainty. You've got the FOMC meeting next week. You've got Twitter. I mean, you've got the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ maybe, hopefully not, but maybe hitting a lower low. What do you do now? What's the best thing to do? I think you should act like the whales. I think the bottom line is what you need to do is you need to act like a whale. You need to see Central African franc. That's what it's called. Exactly. Thank you. You need to act like a whale. So how do you act like a whale? You look at what the whales are doing and you try and emulate their strategy because that's why they're whales, because they made a lot of money. So what are the whales doing now and how do we emulate their strategy? Let's find out what the whales are doing. I did have something here for you guys. Here we go. Hold on, where is it? Okay, so this is an account that's analyzed the top 10 crypto wallets and the top 10 Ethereum or EVM crypto wallets. And he wrote a thread, like Miles Deutscher, always writing threads, have all the time in the world to write threads. I actually might write a thread later, just for fun. So what they're tracking is the EVM and ETH assets in the whales wallets. And what they can see is that the whales have a lot of stable coins. Every single one of the top 10 wallets has a large chunk of stable coins in their portfolio. And what they're doing is they're farming them, stablecoin liquidity pools that are incentivized on Curve, etc. The next thing that the whales are doing is they're holding Fantom. 6 out of the 10 biggest Ethereum wallets are also holding large amounts of Fantom. So that's huge. I didn't think that would be the number. I'm not telling you to buy Fantom. I'm just showing you what this is showing. They're holding Curve and Convex, which means that they're diversifying their income. Because if they're not going to make money out of stables, they're going to make money out of the bribes that you get out of Curve and Convex. So they're maximizing their other income, okay? And they're maximizing their yield on ETH. So most of the whales are putting their portfolio on ETH to work. They're staking it in Rocket Pool, on Lido, and whatever else. So that's effectively what they are doing. And you see the diversifying into AVAX, into Arbitrum, into everything else. So what does this mean for us? Because if we want to tame the bear market, if we want to tame this bear, we got to have a strategy. We've got to have a strategy to tame the bear. And you got to stick to the strategy. It's not different from the strategy we've been talking to you guys about before. It's the same. So if you want to tame the bear, just stick to the strategy. And I'm doing it. I must say, I'm becoming so focused on taming the bear and being strategic. And I'm becoming so disciplined on my purchases that if I was making 10 mistakes out of 100 trades before, I'm now narrowing it down to 5. And I'll show you what my strategy is. It's a very simple strategy. I made a slide for you guys. I'll drop the slide for you guys on Twitter. But let me just show it to you guys visually. I call this the Tame the Bear strategy. The first thing you need to do is throw out the garbage. If you're holding shitcoins, if you're holding coins that you don't believe are going to be winners, that don't have network effects, get the fuck out. You should have got you out back then. But if you didn't, get out now. There's no better time than now to get out of coins that you don't think are A-grade coins. Right now, your portfolio should be 90% in A-grade coins, if not 100% in A-grade coins. If it's not, get out. If you think that you don't want to get out because the prices are low, then just get out and switch it into something else. Switch a bad coin into a good coin. Both prices have come down. Maybe the bad coin has come down a bit more than the good coin, but both prices have come down. So get out now. Get out. Throw out the trash, switch out the trash into good coins. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is learn from the whales. Have cash ready. have some cash to be able to buy the dip. In these kind of volatile markets, you could get wicks that are going to go down. You could get Bitcoin in this kind of volatility. You could all of a sudden just get a wick back to 34,000. And when that happens, you must have some cash. If you don't have cash, you're not going to be able to capitalize on it. So have cash ready. Next thing is maximize your yields. Two types of yields that you want to be maximized. One, maximize your yields on stablecoins. 20% on Anchor, just under 20% on Anchor. USDN, which is a near coin that's coming out. Maximize the yield on your stablecoins. More importantly, maximize your yields on your blue chips. Right now, you should be fighting for bigger yields on ETH, on your Solana, on your Luna. Make sure that every good blue chip coin that you have, you are collecting more of those coins. Because if you're getting 6% more ETH, and ETH explodes by 100%, you've got 12% more value. If you're getting 10% in your Solana, 5%, 10%, whatever you're getting, but you're getting it in Solana, and Solana doubles, you've got 20% more value on your portfolio. Maximize your yields. Now is not the time to be trading. Now is the time to take your coins and put your coins to work. Make sure that you can put your coins to work. You should be watching Miles' show, because Miles is a legend when it comes to putting coins to work. So maximize the returns on your coins. Create a buy list. Now, for every person, that buy list is different. For me, I created a buy list. I'll show you the buy list because I posted it on Twitter, and I think it's important that you guys see it. But this is not your buy list. This is my buy list. And it's very different. My buy list is very different from your buy list. Here's my buy list. The reason why I'm looking to buy these, I'm not buying them yet. I'm looking to buy these. And it's not a lot of coins. It's like 10 coins that I want to buy. Okay, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 coins that I want to buy, and a couple of them I don't actually want to buy. I have a list. It's a separate watch list on CoinGecko. I call it the watch list. Right now, to be honest, this is the only list that I'm looking at. I never look at the prices, because looking at the prices is going to make me do stupid things, sell things, buy things that I shouldn't be buying. And the only list that I'm actually looking at now is this list over here. I look at no other list. Okay, why? Because if I look at the other list, it's going to distract me from what I really need to be doing. What I need to be doing is I need to be completing my portfolio. Stuff that I don't have, I need to be completing my portfolio. So I make the list. I'll walk you through this. I'm looking at Marshall Inu. I'm not buying it yet because I think that there's something in this coin. Lido I'm buying, or I'm looking to buy, but again, when the price gets lower, I'm looking to buy ApeCoin, but I'm not paying $17. I'm waiting for it to go under $10. If I wait 6 months, I'll wait 6 months. If I wait a year, I'll wait a year. And if I don't get it, I don't get it. Thorchain, anything for me between $6 and $7, I'm in. Rari governance token is a token that I started buying. I haven't got enough, so I'm looking to buy it. Okay, Frax. If Frax takes a real wick, I might take a punt on Frax. Cult, I'm watching it. I'm not buying it at all yet. I'm not buying it at all. I'm not touching it yet. But if it goes down, I may take a nibble. LooksRare, I'm very interested in LooksRare. Very, very, very interested in LooksRare. But, and we'll get there in a second. I'll show you why I'm not buying it just yet. Apollo DAO, Rare Finance. Rare Finance, I told you guys, I have been buying it, and now I'm going to start dollar cost averaging to reduce my entry into Ref. So I have a buy list, and I'm so focused now about my buy list that I'm not even looking at the other coins. I don't even look. Ask me what other coins are doing on CoinGecko. I cannot tell you. I haven't looked. I'm looking at one list. It keeps me focused. This is the last part. This is where you need to get very smart. Now is the time to become an expert. You're not going to be an expert in everything, but find your area of expertise. Now, for me, there are a couple of coins where I'm really good, and there are a couple of coins where I'm not good. I'm not an NFT guy. I don't know anything about a whole lot of coins, but things like Luna, things like Solana, things like AVAX, I'm in the ecosystem, and I'm learning, and I'm becoming an expert every single day. And I'm becoming smarter than everyone else, because the way to make returns is just to be smarter than the masses. So if you can make yourself smart around an ecosystem, smarter than the masses, then you'll identify opportunities first. If you're becoming an expert now in the near ecosystem, when the bees come to the near coins, because they will, they did it with Solana, they did it on Avalanche. When the bees come there, you'll be smarter than everyone else. So use this time to become an expert. And I'll show you what becoming an expert means. So I showed you that I'm looking to buy LooksRare. I really do want to buy LooksRare, but I'm not going to buy it. Why am I not going to buy it? I'll show you why I'm not going to buy it. Because if you're smart, you know that there are token unlocks coming, and you know that the first token unlock date is the 9th of July, and a total of 14% of the tokens will become unlocked on that day. So I'm not going to buy it now because I know 14% more tokens are coming into circulation on that day. You see? Why? Because I have the time and because I'm becoming an expert in these coins that I want to be buying. And the same thing if you're looking at Luna, for example. You know that there are a whole lot of projects that are coming into Luna now, which could increase UST demand. And that's why Luna is doing so well now and Luna is not dropping. Because you've got Levana protocol, which is coming on. You've got Mars has come on already. You've got Sigma Finance, which is options, which are coming on right now. So if you know this, then you've got an advantage of everybody else. You've got Vertex protocol, which is a crypto forex market, which is coming out. If you become an expert in Luna, you know that. And if you know that, then you know better than anyone why all the altcoins are dropping, but Luna and Solana aren't really dropping that much. So that's what you need to be doing. It's so simple. Just follow the 5 rules, and I promise you, you'll tame the bear. Get rid of all your garbage, have cash ready, maximize your blue chip yields, maximize your stablecoin yields, create a buy list and be obsessive about your buy list, and then become a fucking expert. Hustle is a fucking expert in gaming. Miles is an expert in DeFi, in Avalanche, and in Fantom. Become an expert. And if you become an expert, then you'll make money. Is that right, Hustle? Can't hear you, bro. I think you muted yourself.
Correct. Yeah, but I completely agree. And the video I did on Friday, I think rings more true than ever now today with the market looking very shaky. I kind of went through strategies to earn, and it was been play to earn, DeFi, how to, like get stable yields. It's an all around strategy to make sure you're maximizing and keeping your gains, right? So when you do make gains, how to keep your gains and how to make your money work for you when not only the market's going up, but market's going down.
So everyone thinks that you can just make money because of the tide, but the tide's not moving up now, which means that if you want to make real money, you got to learn to swim. You got to learn to swim well, and if you learn to swim better than everybody else, then you'll make money. But if you're not gonna swim as fast as the tide, or you're not gonna beat the tide, you're dead. That's the difference. And now, because the rising tide's not lifting all ships, this is the time where the experts are the ones that are going to make money, and that's why you're going to make money. Miles is going to make money. Shaldino is going to make money because you guys are experts at what you do, and you take the time to become experts. No more entitled tourists. You've got to become an expert. Anyway, let's talk about making money. Tonight, what's in the gaming show?
We're going to focus on a game that everyone's been waiting so long for, and that's Illuvium. We're going to take a look at the progress on the private beta. We might even just jump into some live games right there on the show today on the survival mode of the private beta. So we'll get into some gameplay on probably the most anticipated AAA crypto game that's been, we've been waiting for Illuvium for a long time. This is just the first stage of the game. There's going to be much more that they roll out, but we will be talking about Illuvium today.
So can we play the game? I mean, is it possible to play the game?
Yeah.
Will Fred make money? Will even Fred make money? Alrighty, Hustle. I'll see you later.
Sounds good, Rand.
I love it. Will Fred make money? All right. Do you know who will make money? Someone will make money now, because what we're going to do now is if you have a ByBit account with the referral link below, they told me not to 10x so many accounts because they said the money's finishing. So let's double some portfolios. Fuck it, let's 5x an account. Should we 5x an account?
5 sounds good.
Okay, 5x an account. Okay, and you know what? You know what we do? We always leave out row 1, row 2, row 3. So that one will be a 5x, and then this one will be a double, and this one will be a double. Let's do that today. Okay, so remember how this works is you open a ByBit account using our referral link. It doesn't count if you have a ByBit account without the referral link, because this is a list of people that have accounts with our referral link. You deposit money into your account. You don't need to trade. Don't do leverage. Just open an account, put money into the account, and every day I select a bunch of accounts and I double them and I do a whole lot of crazy things. So let's see what the guys are going to get today. Remember, one account's going to be doubled, 2 accounts are going to be doubled, and one of them is going to be 5x. The maximum I'm giving away is $5,000. Okay, so let's be clear, because I can't give away more than $5,000. It's getting ridiculous. I'm giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh man. The guy who got 5x got 0 in his account. The guy who got 5x got 0 in his account. You know what I'll do? I'll 10x your account, bro. You know what? I'll 100x it. You got 0 in your account. I can't help you. I can't help you with that. And then $22 and $3 are going to 2x those accounts. What a pity. What a pity. What a pity. I really wish the guys would have had money so we could change lives. All right, guys. Remember, there are 3 more streams coming out today on. Careful not to press U, because you know what happens when you press U. It could become U porn, and that's terrible. It could become terrible. Channel is called Crypto Shorts. Go to Crypto Shorts. Shorts. There we go. You click Crypto Shorts. There it is, our new channel. There it is. Subscribe to this channel. Kyle, have you not done a chart today?
No, we covered everything. It's all ready.
Kyle, you need to do a chart, Kyle. Every day you need to do a chart for us, Kyle. All right, we will drop 3 more pieces of content. So meet us on Crypto Shorts. 1 of them will be live. 2 of them will post later on today. I will see you guys later on Crypto Shorts. I'll see you back tomorrow on this channel. Until then, trade well, have fun, stay safe out there.